Of course, most people having finished the walk head for home, but we still had 10 days left in our holiday, so we headed off for Whitby. Whitby is a town just north of Robin Hood's Bay. It has all the trappings of a popular tourist town, which at this point was just fine by us. We checked in at the delightful Rivington House and were warmly greeted by the proprietor, Jack. Seriously, my Booking.com review reads as follows. Great property, warm welcome from Jill, the manager. Jack the dog is a beauty. Spacious room, a short walk from the central area. Highly recommended. After a short rest at the residence, we headed out to explore the town. Whitby has a rich maritime past. It emerged as a significant fishing port during the Middle Ages, supporting important herring and whaling fleets. And it was in Whitby that Captain James Cook learned seamanship and where his first ship, the HMS Endeavour, was built. This was interesting to me as James Cook played a significant role in the discovery of British Columbia, where Ruth and I currently reside. Now the tourist trade seems to dominate, with the majority of action revolving around the harbour and the pier. Day 2 in Whitby. After a cuppa at Costa, our go-to chain coffee joint, we set off. If possible, it's nice to explore Whitby early in the morning, as the small streets get quite busy once the tour buses roll in and disgorge their passengers.
No.
Whitby's history is vividly depicted in Emma Stothard's fascinating steel wire sculptures scattered throughout the town. She has portrayed some of Whitby's most famous characters, all with a powerful connection to the sea. South of the harbour is the iconic 199 Steps, made famous by being mentioned in Bram Stoker's Dracula. These steps lead up to the old St. Mary's Church and the Whitby Abbey. Certainly worth a visit for their own sake, but also the starting point of the fabulous coastal walk between Whitby and Robin Hood's Bay. As Ruth and I still had a few miles left in the legs, we decided to undertake the walk. We're certainly glad we did. It's really quite stunning, as you can see from the pictures, and I'd be the first to admit it was enjoyable walking without our backpacks. The following day we headed up the hill north of the harbour. This part of the town generally seems a bit less touristy, but it rewards the walker with excellent views of the beach and northern coastline. You can return via the beach if the tide is in your favour, or on a seaside promenade if the water is too high. The legs were getting a wee bit tired, so we decided to play tourist and poke about the streets of the main town for the following 2 days. What do most British seaside towns seem to have in common? Food and amusements, of course. Interesting fact, Whitby has more fish and chips shops per capita than any town in the world. I made this last bit up, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is true. The following is true. Some famous British chef asserted that the Magpie Cafe and Takeaway serves the best fish and chips in all of Britain. And although Ruth and I weren't prepared to stand in line and test this claim, many others apparently were. We found a less busy place down the quay and had our fill. If fish and chips aren't to your liking, you can always pork out at the Greedy Pig. It's always reassuring when you find a joint whose owner obviously enjoys his own product. If that doesn't excite you, just walk across the street to the local butcher shop and get yourself a hearty Scotch egg. What is it you have there, Ruth?
The biggest Scotch egg in Whitby. How's it taste?
I haven't got to the egg yet. It's so big. I think it'll be good when I get to the egg.
A late afternoon coffee and a good sweet or savory scone shouldn't be overlooked. As you can see, Ruth and I were replenishing some of those calories we'd burnt off on the trail. After all this eating, I was looking forward to an invigorating evening on the rides and in the arcades. Not. And what's with the Brits' fascination with the tribute band? The Whitby Pavilion seems to hold regular concerts featuring these acts. We had a long conversation with a lovely man who had seen the fake Rod Stewart the night before and thought it was tremendous. To each their own. By the way, we had seen the real Rod Stewart at the Royal Albert Hall in London 3 weeks earlier when we attended a tribute to Jeff Beck. I suspect the fake one's voice might have been in better shape. We had one more day in Whitby before heading back to London via York. Unfortunately, the Rivington, our wonderful guest house, was booked, and we ended up staying at the very interesting White Horse and Griffin in the main part of town. The Griffin has a wonderful history, being one of the older inns in Whitby. It was apparently the starting point and terminus for the first stagecoach service between Whitby and York. The Griff has a great little bar and restaurant, pleasant but small rooms, and walls littered with great archival photos displaying the history of Whitby. It also has a young chef who really knows how to poach an egg and prepare a good hollandaise. And for this, I give the inn top marks.
Thank you. Not over there.